Maya Johnson wiped the sweat from her forehead as she finished checking the cargo bay systems. At 17, she was the youngest crew member aboard the New Horizon, a small cargo ship that traveled between planets looking for salvage and trade opportunities. Her father, Captain Rick Johnson, ran the ship with a crew of 12 people. Maya had been working on ships since she was 14, learning everything about engines, computers, and space travel. The bridge alarm started beeping, and Maya heard her father's voice over the ship's speakers. "All crew to stations. We have something interesting on the scanners." Maya climbed the metal stairs to the bridge where her father stood looking at the main screen. The display showed a large object floating in empty space, far from any planet or star system. The object was dark and appeared to be a ship, but its shape was unlike anything Maya had ever seen. "What is it, Dad?" Maya asked, moving closer to get a better look. Rick pointed at the screen. "We picked it up about 10 minutes ago. It's big, maybe 3 times the size of our ship. The scanners say it's made of some kind of metal we don't recognize. And look at this." He pressed a button and the image zoomed in. The alien ship had a strange, beautiful design. Its hull was covered in patterns that looked like crystals, and these patterns seemed to glow with a very faint light. The ship had no windows that they could see, and its shape was smooth and curved in ways that human ships never were. "Is it dangerous?" asked Jake Martinez, the ship's engineer and Maya's best friend since childhood. "The scanners don't show any weapons or active systems," Rick replied. "It looks dead in space. No power readings, no life signs, nothing." Maya stared at the alien ship. Something about it made her feel excited and nervous at the same time. "How long has it been out here?" "Hard to say," her father answered. "Could be years, could be centuries. The metal shows no signs of damage from space debris or radiation. Whatever made this ship knew how to build things that last." The crew gathered on the bridge to discuss what to do. Some wanted to report the find to the authorities and let them handle it. Others thought they should leave it alone entirely. But Maya found herself speaking up. "We should board it," she said. "This could be the most important discovery in human history." "We can't just walk away." Her father looked concerned. "Maya, we don't know anything about this ship or who built it. It could be dangerous." "But Dad, the scanners show it's completely dead. No power, no life signs, nothing. And if there's technology in there that could help humanity, shouldn't we at least take a look?" Rick considered this for a long moment. He knew his daughter was brave and smart, but he also worried about putting his crew in danger. Finally, he made his decision. "We'll suit up and send a small team over. Maya, Jake, and Collins will go with me. Everyone else stays here and monitors our signals. If anything goes wrong, we pull back immediately." 2 hours later, Maya floated through space in her environmental suit, following her father toward the alien ship. The suit's jets pushed her gently forward as she marveled at the ship's strange beauty. Up close, the crystal patterns on the hull were even more amazing. They seemed to pulse very slowly, like a heartbeat. "There," Jake's voice crackled in her helmet radio. "I see what might be an airlock." The alien airlock was unlike human designs. Instead of a door, there was a circular area on the hull that seemed to ripple like water when Rick touched it. To everyone's surprise, it opened, creating a tunnel of light that led into the ship. "The ship is scanning us," Collins reported, checking his instruments. "But it's not hostile. It's like it's trying to understand what we are." They entered the alien ship and Maya gasped at what she saw. The interior was nothing like a human ship. The corridors curved in impossible ways, and the walls seemed to be made of the same crystal material as the hull. Soft light came from everywhere and nowhere, illuminating their path. "Gravity is working," Rick noted, feeling his feet settle on the floor. The ship must have some kind of automatic systems that are still running. They explored for over an hour, finding rooms filled with strange geometric shapes that might have been furniture or machines. Everything was clean and perfect, as if the ship had been abandoned just yesterday. Maya felt drawn deeper into the ship, following corridors that seemed to lead somewhere important. Finally, they reached a large chamber at the center of the ship. In the middle of the room stood a pedestal, and on the pedestal was what looked like a suit of armor. But this armor was unlike anything Maya had ever seen. It was made of the same crystal material as the ship, but it seemed alive somehow, shifting and flowing like liquid metal. "Don't touch anything," her father warned, but Maya was already walking toward the armor. She couldn't help herself. Something about it called to her. As she got closer, the armor began to glow brighter. The crystal patterns on its surface started moving faster, and Maya could hear a humming sound that seemed to come from inside her own head. Maya, step back, Rick ordered, but it was too late. The moment Maya's gloved hand touched the armor, everything changed. The suit flowed like water, covering her body in seconds. Her environmental suit dissolved away as the alien armor bonded with her skin. Maya felt a rush of power and knowledge flooding her mind. She could suddenly understand things about the universe that she had never known before. She could feel the energy flowing through space, the gravitational pull of distant stars and the life force of her friends standing nearby. The armor wasn't just protecting her. It was making her into something more than human. Maya, her father shouted, but his voice sounded far away. Maya opened her eyes and looked at her hands. They were covered in the flowing crystal armor, which pulsed with inner light. She felt stronger than ever before, but also calm and in control. The armor was teaching her how to use its power, filling her mind with knowledge from its creators. She turned to face her father and friends, who were staring at her in amazement and fear. Maya tried to speak, but when she did, her voice echoed with strange harmonics that made the chamber walls vibrate. "I'm okay," she said, and slowly her voice returned to normal. "The armor? It's trying to teach me something important about what's coming." 3 days had passed since Maya bonded with the alien armor. She was still learning to control its power, but already she could do things that seemed impossible. She could see in complete darkness, lift objects that weighed tons, and somehow understand languages she had never heard before. The armor felt like a second skin now, appearing and disappearing when she wanted it to. Captain Rick Johnson sat in his quarters, trying to figure out what to do next. His daughter had become something beyond human understanding, and he wasn't sure if that was good or bad. The armor seemed to be helping her, teaching her things, but it also made him nervous. What if it changed her so much that she stopped being his little girl? The ship's alarm suddenly blared through the corridors. Jake's voice came over the speakers, urgent and worried. "Captain, you need to get to the bridge right now. We have incoming ships and they're big." Rick ran to the bridge where he found his crew staring at the main screen in shock. 5 massive ships had appeared out of nowhere, each one at least 10 times larger than the New Horizon. The ships had a dark, threatening design with sharp angles and weapon ports that glowed with red light. "They just appeared," Jake explained. "No warning, no engine signatures. 1 second empty space, the next second they were there." Maya arrived on the bridge, the crystal armor flowing over her body as she sensed danger. The moment she saw the alien ships, knowledge from the armor filled her mind. She knew what these ships were and who had sent them. "They're from the Galactic Council," Maya said, her voice calm but serious. "The armor is telling me about them. They rule most of the galaxy, and they think humans are too primitive to matter." Before Rick could ask how she knew this, a communication signal came through. The main screen showed the face of an alien being that looked like a cross between a lizard and an insect. Its skin was gray and scaly, and its eyes glowed with a cold blue light. "Primitive humans," the alien said, its voice filled with disgust. "I am Commander Zix of the Kethtar Empire, speaking for the Galactic Council. You have stolen property that belongs to us. Return the Apex Shroud immediately, or your entire species will face consequences." Rick stepped forward, trying to look confident even though his hands were shaking. "I'm Captain Johnson of the New Horizon. We found an abandoned ship and salvaged what was inside. We didn't steal anything from anyone." Commander Zix's laugh was like the sound of metal scraping against stone. "You know nothing, human. The device your offspring wears is called the Apex Shroud. It was created by the Architects, a race we destroyed long ago for defying the Council's rule. No primitive species should possess such power." Maya felt anger building inside her as the armor translated more of the alien's words. She was learning that the Council had conquered and enslaved dozens of species, treating them like animals. The Architects had tried to stop them and had been wiped out for it. "The Architects weren't your enemies," Maya said, stepping into view of the communication screen. "They were trying to protect other species from you." Commander Zix's eyes widened when he saw Maya wearing the armor. "Impossible. The shroud should not bond with such a primitive mind. Return it now, or we will take it from your corpse." "Try it," Maya replied, surprising herself with how calm she felt. The communication ended, and immediately the alien ships began moving toward the New Horizon. Weapon ports opened along their hulls and energy began building up for an attack. "All hands prepare for emergency jump," Rick ordered. "We need to get out of here." But Maya shook her head. "Dad, we can't run. They'll follow us and they'll hurt innocent people to get to me." The armor is showing me what they've done to other species. I have to stop them. Maya, you're just one person against 5 warships, Jake protested. No, Maya said, feeling the armor's power flowing through her. I'm more than that now. She walked to the airlock and the armor formed a complete environmental suit around her. Keep the ship safe. I'll be back. Before anyone could stop her, Maya opened the airlock and stepped into space. The vacuum should have killed her instantly, but the armor protected her completely. She could breathe, move, and think as if she were still inside the ship. The alien warships fired their weapons at her. Beams of red energy that could destroy a planet struck Maya directly, but the armor absorbed the energy and made her stronger. She felt the power flowing through her, teaching her how to use it. Maya raised her hand and energy gathered around her fingers. She pointed at the nearest alien ship and released the power. A beam of pure white light shot from her hand and struck the warship's hull. The massive ship's engines died instantly, and it began drifting helplessly in space. Commander Zix's voice came through her armor's communication system. What are you? This is impossible. I'm human, Maya replied. And humans don't like bullies. The other 4 ships attacked her together, firing every weapon they had. The space around Maya filled with deadly energy, but she moved through it like she was dancing. The armor made her faster than the alien weapons, and she could see their attacks coming before they fired. Maya pointed at the second ship and sent another energy beam at it. This time she aimed at the weapon systems instead of the engines. The ship's guns exploded one by one, leaving it defenseless. She did the same to the third and fourth ships, moving so fast that the aliens couldn't track her. The last ship tried to run, but Maya flew after it. The armor let her move through space faster than any ship, as if she was riding on the energy that flowed between stars. She caught up to the fleeing warship and disabled its engines with a gentle touch. Commander Zix's ship was now floating helplessly like the others. Maya flew back to face the communication screen, her armor glowing with power. You have a choice, she told the alien commander. Leave human space and never come back, or I'll disable every council ship in the galaxy one by one. The armor is showing me where they all are. Commander Zix's face was filled with fear and rage. This is not over, human. The council will send everything we have to destroy you and your primitive species. You have doomed your entire race. Maybe, Maya said, but if you try to hurt humans, you'll have to go through me first. And I'm getting stronger every day. The alien ships disappeared as suddenly as they had arrived, leaving the New Horizon alone in space. Maya flew back to the airlock where her father and crew were waiting for her with expressions of amazement and worry. Maya, Rick said as his daughter stepped back inside the ship. What have you become? Maya looked at her hands as the armor flowed back under her skin. I think I'm becoming what humanity needs me to be, Dad. The council isn't going to leave us alone. But maybe with this armor I can protect our people. She didn't tell him what else the armor had shown her. Somewhere in the galaxy, there were other pieces of architect technology waiting to be found, and humans with their chaotic and adaptable minds were the only species that could use them. The council had made a terrible mistake by threatening humanity. They had awakened something that had been sleeping for thousands of years. Maya sat alone in the New Horizons cargo bay, trying to understand the visions that kept flooding her mind. The armor was teaching her about its creators, the architects, and each lesson was more amazing and terrifying than the last. She saw images of a galaxy filled with peace and cooperation, where different species worked together and helped each other grow. But she also saw the dark truth of what had happened to destroy that golden age. The architects had not been conquerors or rulers. They had been guardians watching over younger species and protecting them from those who would do harm. They were beings of incredible power who could shape matter and energy with their thoughts, but they used that power only to help others. For millions of years they had kept the galaxy safe and peaceful, but some species had grown jealous of the architects' power. Led by the ancestors of the current Galactic Council, these species had formed an alliance dedicated to destroying the Guardians. They couldn't match the architects in single combat, so they used lies and tricks instead. They convinced other species that the architects were planning to enslave everyone, turning peaceful races against their protectors. The war that followed lasted for thousands of years and destroyed entire star systems. In the end, the architects chose to sacrifice themselves rather than fight a war that would hurt innocent people. They scattered their technology across the galaxy, and then transcended physical existence, becoming one with the energy that flows through space itself. But before they disappeared, the architects left behind a plan. They had studied every species in the galaxy and found one that had the potential to inherit their role as guardians. Humans possessed something unique: minds that could adapt to any situation and hearts that could feel compassion for all living things. The architect technology would only work for humans, waiting patiently for the day when humanity would find it and take up the responsibility of protecting the galaxy. Maya opened her eyes and found her father sitting nearby, watching her with concern. "The visions again?" Rick asked. "The armor is showing me why the Council is so afraid," Maya explained. "They've been ruling the galaxy through fear and violence for thousands of years. But now there's something they can't control or destroy." "You mean the armor?" Maya shook her head. "Not just the armor, Dad. There are other pieces of architect technology hidden all over the galaxy. Weapons, ships, tools that can do things we can't even imagine. And only humans can use them." Rick looked worried. "Maya, that sounds like a lot of responsibility for one species. Are we ready for that kind of power?" Before Maya could answer, Jake's voice came over the ship's speakers. "Captain, you need to see the news feeds. Something big is happening on Earth." They hurried to the bridge where the main screen showed news reports from across human space. The images were horrifying. Massive alien fleets had appeared over Earth and the human colonies, attacking without warning. Cities were burning and millions of people were dying. The news reporters were calling it the largest military attack in human history. "The Council isn't wasting time," Maya said, feeling sick as she watched the destruction. "They're trying to wipe out humanity before more of us can find architect technology." The armor was showing her tactical information about the attack. Over 3,000 Council warships had been sent to human space, representing the combined military might of 12 different alien species. They were targeting population centers, trying to kill as many humans as possible as quickly as possible. But the armor also showed her something else. In the chaos of the attacks, some humans had found other pieces of architect technology. On the mining colony of New Dallas, a young man named Tony Chen had discovered an architect weapon that could destroy entire fleets with a single shot. On the research station orbiting Jupiter, Dr. Lisa Park had found an architect computer that could hack into any system in the galaxy. "The Council made a mistake," Maya said, her voice filled with determination. "They think they're fighting one human with stolen technology. But the architects planned for this. Humanity isn't helpless." Rick watched the news reports showing the alien attacks. "What can we do? Even with your armor, you can't be everywhere at once." Maya stood up, feeling the armor's power flowing through her body. "I can't save everyone, but I can hurt the Council badly enough to make them think twice about continuing this war. The armor is showing me where their command ships are." She walked toward the airlock, but her father grabbed her arm. "Maya, wait! If you go out there alone, you might not come back." "I can't lose you." Maya hugged her father tightly. "Dad, you raised me to do what's right even when it's hard. Millions of humans are dying right now because the Council is afraid of what we might become. I have to try to stop them." She stepped back and let the armor flow over her body. "Keep monitoring the news feeds. If other humans find architect technology, try to contact them. We're going to need to work together if we want to win this war." Maya left the ship and flew into space, following the directions the armor was giving her. The nearest Council command ship was 3 star systems away, but the armor let her travel faster than light without needing a ship. She rode the energy currents that flowed between stars, moving through space like a living comet. The Council command ship was huge, bigger than some space stations. It was surrounded by smaller warships and protected by energy shields that could stop planet-killing weapons. But Maya could see the ship's weaknesses through the armor's knowledge. The architects had designed their technology to be superior to anything the Council could build. Maya flew straight at the command ship, ignoring the weapons that fired at her. The energy beams that struck her only made her stronger, and she used that power to punch through the ship's shields like they were made of paper. She landed on the hull and placed her hand against the metal. The armor sent energy into the ship's systems, learning everything about its design and purpose. Maya saw through the ship's sensors and computers, understanding the full scope of the Council's attack on humanity. They had planned this war for months, preparing to eliminate every human in the galaxy. But she also found something unexpected. The ship's databases contained information about other species that had been destroyed by the Council over the thousands of years of their rule. Entire civilizations had been wiped out for the crime of being different or refusing to submit to Council authority. Maya felt anger burning inside her, but she controlled it. The armor was teaching her that power without wisdom was just destruction. Instead of destroying the command ship, she did something else. She sent a message through the ship's communication system, broadcasting it to every council vessel in the galaxy. "I am Maya Johnson of Earth," she said, her voice carrying across space to reach millions of alien ears. "You have attacked my people without cause, trying to murder innocents because you fear what humans might become. But you've made a terrible mistake. You haven't just awakened one human with architect technology. You've awakened all of humanity." She disabled the command ship's weapons and engines, leaving it floating helplessly in space. Then she moved to the next ship, and the next, systematically destroying the Council's ability to fight while leaving the crews alive. As Maya worked, she felt something wonderful happening. Across human space, other people were finding architect artifacts and learning to use them. The technology was calling to humans, guiding them to hidden caches and ancient storage facilities. Soon there would be dozens of humans with architect powers, then hundreds. The Council had started a war thinking they were fighting a primitive species with one lucky discovery. Instead, they had awakened humanity's true destiny as the heirs of the galaxy's greatest guardians. Maya smiled as she disabled another warship, knowing that this was only the beginning of humanity's rise to become the protectors the galaxy needed. The war had been raging for 6 months, and Maya had become something she never wanted to be. A weapon of mass destruction. She flew alone through the darkness between stars, hunting council fleets that threatened human colonies. The armor had evolved with her, becoming stronger and more complex as she learned to use its power. She could now destroy entire battle fleets with a thought, travel across the galaxy in minutes and see through the deceptions that the Council used to hide their movements. But the cost was terrible. Billions of humans had died in the first weeks of the war, before Maya and the other humans with architect technology could organize an effective defense. Entire planets had been burned clean of life, their populations murdered by alien weapons designed to kill quickly and efficiently. Maya carried the weight of every death, knowing that she could have saved more people if she had been faster, stronger, smarter. The worst part was what the war was doing to her. Each battle made her more powerful but less human. The armor whispered to her constantly now, teaching her secrets of the universe that no human mind was meant to contain. Sometimes she forgot what it felt like to be tired or hungry or afraid. She could feel herself becoming more like the architects, transcending the physical world and becoming pure energy and thought. Maya floated in space above the ruins of New Geneva, a colony world that the Council had destroyed 3 days ago. 2 million humans had lived here, farming and building a peaceful life far from Earth. Now there was nothing left but radioactive ash and the twisted metal of destroyed cities. Her father's voice came through the armor's communication system. "Maya, where are you? We've been trying to reach you for hours." Maya looked down at the dead world below her. "I'm at New Geneva, Dad, or what's left of it." "You can't save everyone," Rick said gently. "I know it hurts, but you're doing everything you can." "Am I?" Maya asked. "I have the power to destroy stars, to reshape matter with my thoughts. The armor could let me wipe out the entire Council fleet in one attack, but every time I use that power, I feel myself becoming less human." She had been tempted so many times to end the war quickly by destroying the Council's homeworlds. It would be easy. She could cause their stars to go supernova, killing billions of aliens in seconds. But Maya knew that if she did that, she would become exactly what the Council claimed the architects had been, a tyrant ruling through fear and destruction. "Come back to the ship," Rick said. "Jake found something you need to see." Maya flew back to the New Horizon, which had become the mobile headquarters for humanity's resistance. Her father had gathered information from all the humans who had found architect technology, coordinating their efforts to protect the remaining colonies. There were now 47 humans with various architect devices, from weapons and armor to ships and computers that could think faster than any alien mind. Jake was waiting for her in the cargo bay, his excitement obvious even through his worried expression. "Maya, look at this," he said, holding up a small crystal device. "I found it in the ruins of an architect facility on Kepler Prime. It's some kind of communication system." Maya touched the crystal, and immediately her mind filled with voices. She could hear other humans across the galaxy, people who had found architect technology and were learning to use it. But more importantly, she could hear something else, the whispers of the architects themselves. They had not truly died when they transcended physical existence. They had become part of the energy that flowed through space and time, watching and waiting for the day when humanity would need their guidance. Now, as the war threatened to destroy everything they had hoped to protect, the architects were reaching out to help. "The Council has a secret weapon," Maya said, understanding flooding her mind as the architects shared their knowledge. "They've been building it for thousands of years, powered by the life energy of all the species they've conquered. It's hidden at the center of the galaxy in a system that doesn't appear on any star charts." Jake looked confused. "What kind of weapon?" "A corrupted architect construct," Maya explained. "When the Council destroyed the architects, they captured one of their guardian beings and twisted it into a weapon of pure destruction. They've been using its power to maintain control over the galaxy, feeding it the life force of conquered worlds." The armor showed Maya images of the construct, a massive entity made of dark crystal and twisted metal, its original beauty corrupted into something horrible. The architects had created it to protect life, but the Council had turned it into an engine of death. It was the source of their power, the reason they could command 12 different species and control thousands of worlds. "If we can free the construct and return it to its original purpose, the Council will lose their advantage," Maya said. "But it won't be easy. They'll throw everything they have at us to protect it." Rick joined them in the cargo bay, looking older and more tired than Maya remembered. The war had aged him years in just months, and she could see the weight of responsibility in his eyes. "Maya, we've received messages from Earth. Admiral Carter wants to meet with you. The government is planning a final assault on the Council's home systems." Maya felt a chill run through her. "Dad, they can't win a conventional war against the Council. Even with architect technology, we don't have enough ships or people. The Council has been building their military for thousands of years." "I know," Rick said, "but people are angry and scared. They want to hit back after everything the Council has done to us. Maybe you can convince them that there's a better way." Maya looked at the crystal device in Jake's hands. The voices of the architects were still whispering to her, sharing memories of the galaxy as it had been before the Council's rise to power. She saw worlds where different species worked together, sharing knowledge and culture instead of fighting endless wars. That was what the architects had tried to protect, and what Maya now had the chance to restore. "I'll meet with Admiral Carter," Maya decided. "But first I need to gather the other humans with architect technology. If we're going to free the construct, we'll need to work together." Over the next 3 days, Maya traveled across human space, meeting with the people who had found architect devices. There was Tony Chen, whose weapon could destroy entire fleets. Dr. Lisa Park, whose computer could hack any system in the galaxy. Commander Steve Walsh, who had found an architect ship that could travel through dimensions. Maria Santos, whose armor let her heal any injury or disease. Each of them had been changed by their contact with architect technology, becoming more than human, but struggling to hold on to their humanity. Maya saw herself reflected in their faces, the weight of responsibility, the temptation of unlimited power, and the fear of losing themselves in the process of saving others. "The architects face the same choice we're facing now," Maya told them as they gathered aboard the New Horizon. They could have used their power to conquer the galaxy and rule as gods. Instead, they chose to protect and guide other species, even when it meant sacrificing themselves. She shared what she had learned about the corrupted construct and the Council's secret weapon. "If we can free it, we can end this war without becoming the monsters the Council claims we are. But it means going to the center of the galaxy and facing everything the Council can throw at us." Tony Chen looked at his weapon, which could level mountains with a single shot. "And if we fail, then humanity dies," Maya said simply. "But if we succeed, we become what the galaxy needs, guardians who protect life instead of destroying it." One by one, the others agreed to join her mission. They would leave the defense of human space to Admiral Carter's fleet and the remaining architect technology users. Maya and her team would strike at the heart of the Council's power, either freeing the construct or dying in the attempt. As they prepared for the journey to the galaxy's center, Maya felt the armor responding to her determination. It was becoming stronger, more complex, preparing for the battle that would decide the fate of every living being in the galaxy. She only hoped that when the fighting was over, there would still be enough humanity left in her to remember why the battle was worth fighting. The center of the galaxy was a place of wonder and terror. Ancient stars burned with colors that had no names, and space itself seemed to bend and twist in ways that hurt to look at. Maya and her team of architect technology users flew through this cosmic maze in Commander Walsh's dimensional ship, following the guidance of the construct that the architects had hidden in Maya's armor. As they traveled deeper into the galactic core, they encountered the Council's final defenses. Thousands of automated weapons platforms guarded the approach to the secret system, each one capable of destroying a planet. But the team worked together, using their various architect devices to clear a path through the deadly maze. Tony Chen's weapon carved through the platforms like they were made of paper, while Dr. Park's computer disabled their targeting systems and Maria Santos healed the damage their ship took from enemy fire. Finally, they reached the hidden system where the Council kept their ultimate weapon. What Maya saw there made her gasp in horror and sadness. The corrupted construct hung in space like a dark star, its crystal body twisted into sharp, painful angles. Once it had been beautiful, a guardian created to protect life and bring peace to the galaxy. Now it was a monster, its light turned to darkness by thousands of years of torture and corruption. The construct was surrounded by the largest fleet Maya had ever seen. Ships from all 12 Council species filled the space around it, their combined firepower enough to destroy entire solar systems. At the center of the fleet was a massive station where the Council's leaders waited, confident that their secret weapon would destroy any threat to their power. "There are too many ships," Commander Walsh said, his voice tight with worry. "Even with architect technology, we can't fight that many enemies at once." Maya studied the fleet through her armor's sensors. The Council had brought everything they had to protect their weapon. But she could see something they couldn't. The construct was in pain. Its corruption was not complete. Deep inside its crystal heart, a spark of its original purpose still burned, waiting for someone to set it free. "We don't need to fight all of them," Maya said. "We just need to reach the construct and remind it what it was created to do." She stepped out of the ship and into the vacuum of space, her armor protecting her from the deadly radiation of the galactic core. The other team members followed her, each protected by their own architect devices. Together they flew toward the massive fleet, tiny figures against the backdrop of thousands of warships. The Council fleet opened fire immediately. Energy beams that could melt asteroids struck Maya and her team, but their architect technology absorbed the attacks and made them stronger. Maya felt the armor's power growing as it fed on the enemy weapons, turning their own force against them. As they flew through the storm of weapons fire, Maya began to sing. It was an old Earth song that her mother had taught her, a simple melody about hope and love conquering darkness. The armor amplified her voice, sending it across space to reach the corrupted construct. The effect was immediate and dramatic. The construct's twisted form began to straighten, its dark crystal clearing as it remembered what it had been before the Council's corruption. The spark of its original purpose grew brighter, fighting against thousands of years of pain and hatred. Commander Zix's voice came through the communication channels, filled with rage and fear. "Destroy them. Do not let them reach the construct." The Council fleet concentrated all their fire on Maya and her team, but it was too late. The construct was awakening, and as it did, its power began to flow back to its original purpose. The energy that had been twisted to support the Council's tyranny now turned against their ships, disabling weapons and engines with gentle but irresistible force. Maya reached the construct and placed her hand on its crystal surface. Through the armor, she felt its pain and loneliness, the terrible weight of being forced to hurt innocent people for thousands of years. But she also felt its joy at being remembered, at having the chance to be what it was meant to be once again. "You're free," Maya whispered to the construct. "You can choose to protect life instead of destroying it." The construct's response shook the entire star system. Light poured from its crystal body, not the harsh light of weapons, but the warm glow of healing and protection. The corrupted systems that the Council had built into it dissolved like shadows before dawn. And its true form was revealed, a being of incredible beauty and power, shaped like a massive tree made of living crystal, its branches reaching out to embrace the galaxy. The Council fleet tried to retreat, but the construct would not let them escape. It had suffered under their control for too long, had been forced to commit too many atrocities in their name. But instead of destroying them, it did something far more powerful. It showed them the truth. Every being in the Council fleet suddenly experienced the memories of all the species they had conquered and destroyed. They felt the pain of the billions who had died under their rule, the fear of the children who had watched their parents murdered, the despair of entire civilizations wiped out for the crime of being different. For the first time in thousands of years, the Council's soldiers and leaders understood the true cost of their empire. Many of the ships simply stopped fighting, their crews overwhelmed by the weight of what they had done. Others tried to run, but found their vessels gently disabled by the construct's power. A few attempted to self-destruct rather than face the truth, but the construct would not allow even that escape. They would live with the knowledge of their crimes and work to make amends. Commander Zix's command ship hung motionless in space, its crew paralyzed by the revelation of their empire's true nature. Maya flew over to speak with the alien commander one last time. "This is what the architects tried to show you," she said. "Power should be used to protect and nurture, not to conquer and destroy. The galaxy doesn't need rulers. It needs guardians." Zix stared at her through the communication screen, his eyes wide with shock and understanding. What have we done?" "All those worlds, all those people, you can't change the past," Maya replied. "But you can choose to be better in the future. The construct will help you learn how to build instead of destroy, how to heal instead of hurt." As the construct spread its influence across the galaxy, Maya felt something wonderful happening. The energy that had been used to power the Council's empire was now flowing back to the worlds and species it had been stolen from. Dead planets began to bloom with life again. Species that had been enslaved for generations found themselves free. The rigid hierarchy that had kept the galaxy in chains for thousands of years began to crumble, replaced by something new and hopeful. But Maya also felt herself changing. The armor had grown so much during the final battle that it was becoming hard to tell where it ended. And she began. She could feel her consciousness expanding, touching every star and planet in the galaxy. Like the architects before her, she was transcending her physical form and becoming something greater. "Maya," her father's voice came through the communication system. "Are you all right?" Maya looked back toward the new horizon, where her father and Jake were waiting for her. She could see the worry in their faces, the fear that they were losing her to the power she carried. For a moment, she was tempted to let go completely, to become pure energy and thought like the architects had. But then she remembered why she had fought this war. It wasn't for power or glory. It was to protect the people she loved and to give everyone in the galaxy the chance to live in peace. The architects had made the mistake of thinking they had to sacrifice their humanity to fulfill their purpose. Maya would not make the same mistake. She flew back to the ship and stepped inside, letting the armor flow back under her skin. Her father hugged her tightly and she felt tears on his cheek. "I thought we were going to lose you," Rick whispered. "You won't," Maya promised. "I'm still me, Dad. I'm still your daughter. I'll always be human no matter what else I become." In the months that followed, the galaxy began to heal. The Council's empire dissolved as its member species chose freedom over oppression. New alliances formed based on cooperation rather than conquest. Humans spread across the stars, using architect technology not to rule but to explore and help others. Maya became the first guardian of the new age, working with the construct and the spirits of the architects to maintain peace and protect the innocent. Other humans joined her, each one learning to balance their power with their humanity. They were not perfect, and there were still conflicts and problems to solve. But for the first time in thousands of years, the galaxy had hope for a better future. Sometimes Maya would return to Earth and walk through the forests where she had played as a child. She would visit her father, who had retired from space travel to become a teacher, sharing the stories of their adventures with new generations of young people. She would laugh with Jake, who had used his engineering skills to help rebuild the worlds damaged by the war. In those moments, Maya remembered that all the power in the galaxy meant nothing compared to the simple joy of being human. She had gained invincibility, but she had never lost what mattered most: her compassion, her love for others, and her determination to use her strength to protect those who could not protect themselves.